Okay, let's talk about what might just be the tech world's biggest open secret. For years now, right? We've heard rumors, we've seen patents, all of it pointing to a foldable iPhone. But has it all just been smoke and mirrors? So is this thing just a tech fantasy? Well, maybe not for much longer. The picture is finally starting to get a whole lot clearer. And today, we're going to walk through 5 major updates from inside the industry that give us the best look yet at what Apple's cooking up for its foldable future. So here's the plan. We'll start with how long this has actually been in the works. Then we're going to dive into some mind-blowing screen technology, check out the specific design they're leaning towards, and look at the crazy new chip that's going to power it all. And you bet we'll get to the billion-dollar question. When can you get one, and how much is it going to set you back? All right, first things first, let's get some context. This isn't just Apple jumping on a trend. This has been a long-term play from the very beginning. Word is, development on this thing started way back in 2016. I mean, think about that for a second. That's the same year the iPhone 7 came out. This tells you that for nearly a decade, Apple has been quietly working, waiting, and trying to get this technology absolutely perfect before you and I ever see it. And that perfectionism really brings us to the single most critical, and let's be honest, the most difficult part of any foldable phone, the screen itself. So what are we looking at here? Well, get this, a huge 7 to 8-inch OLED display. That's basically a foldable mini tablet, and Apple is tapping the best in the business, Samsung and LG, to make it happen. But the real kicker, the feature that sounds like something out of science fiction, is this rumored self-healing material. Okay, so what on earth does that actually mean? Well, it's a special polymer layer on the screen that's designed to automatically fix minor damage. You know, all those little scuffs and hairline scratches our phones inevitably pick up in our pockets. The goal here is for that material to make those imperfections just disappear over time. That would solve one of the biggest worries people have with today's foldable phones. So Apple's got this incredible self-healing screen in the works. Awesome. But what's the phone actually going to look like when you fold it? Well, it seems Apple has been going down 2 very different roads. On one hand, you have the book style, right? Like a Galaxy Fold, where a normal-looking phone opens up sideways to become a small tablet. On the other hand, you have the clamshell or flip style, where a standard iPhone-sized screen folds in half to become super compact. These are 2 totally different ways to use a phone. And here's the big reveal. According to sources in the know, Apple is leaning heavily towards that clamshell flip design. Now, this is a huge clue. It suggests their main goal isn't to replace an iPad, but to make the standard iPhone you already love even more portable. You can't have a revolutionary new design and a screen that heals itself without some serious horsepower under the hood, right? So let's talk about the engine that's going to run this thing. The name floating around is the A20 Pro. Now, just think about that for a second. We're currently on the A17 Pro. So jumping all the way to an A20 isn't just an update. It signals a massive leap forward in power, something probably years ahead of anything else out there. And it's not just about raw speed. A chip like this would have a very specific job. It would need to be an absolute beast at handling the software gymnastics of a folding screen. You know, seamlessly moving apps between displays and unlocking powerful new ways to multitask that only a foldable can do. Okay, we've talked tech, we've talked design. Now for the part everyone really wants to know. When can I get one? And how much is this going to hurt my wallet? So if we look at the timeline, from that 2016 start to today, where they're actively testing prototypes, the finish line is definitely in sight. But, and this is a big but, don't go lining up next September. The consensus from industry analysts is that we're looking at a launch window somewhere in 2026 or maybe even 2027. And now for the price. You might want to sit down for this. The rumored starting figure is $2,500. Just let that sink in for a moment. That number immediately puts this device in a whole new category, way beyond just a smartphone. And to put that number into perspective, just take a look at this. We're talking more than double the price of a top-of-the-line iPhone Pro Max today. So yeah, this is not a device for everyone. It's being positioned as the absolute crown jewel of Apple technology. All right, so let's tie this all together really quick. The key takeaways? We're likely getting a compact clamshell flip design. It's going to have a huge 7 to 8-inch screen that might just heal its own scratches. Powering it all will be a futuristic A20 Pro chip.
We'll have to wait till 2026 or 2027 to see it, and you'd better start saving, because it'll carry a very premium $2,500 price tag.
So, all of this leads to the one massive question that's hanging over this whole project. With that kind of tech and that kind of price, is Apple about to reinvent the smartphone all over again? Or is this going to be an absolutely beautiful, incredibly engineered, but ultimately an expensive novelty for a select few? I guess only time will tell.